what happened in your case?
I noticed my brother wasn't doing well. I noticed he was unraveling. Every time I saw him since March, he looked terrible. He would tell me I have my nephew who goes to school here. He lives with me. And my nephew would tell me, Daddy slept all week and he wouldn't get up. I said, something's wrong. So I called my brother up. And I said, Bobby, is everything all right? He's like, I'm having problems financially. I'm having problems in my marriage. I'm having problems here. I said, okay, well, you need to pull it together. Like, well, what can we do here? So in the course of me having his son, we had a couple of arguments over nonsense. And finally in June, he called me and he said, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. I'm going to kill myself. I can't take it. And I was like, Bobby, what's going on? Tell me. Is it money? What is it? I would do anything for you, and I've done it in the past. So I called IAB, and I emailed them, and they told me they were going to look into it. The psychiatrist called me the next day, the psychologist that they use. She interviewed me on the phone, I'd say 2 hours, about everything that was going on in my brother's life, what was going on with personal life, professional life. She then interviewed my mother, who went on to say, yes, my son, I don't recognize him. I sent IAB this letter. I called them, and I called them again. I can't even tell you how many times, please, I want my brother to get help. My brother's not doing well. He's not handling anything well right now. Within 2 days, I get a call from my brother's lieutenant. It says, we found your basis unfounded. So we're giving him his guns back. I said, what? In 2 days you can evaluate him? Did you go to his house? Did you see what was going on? We don't disclose that. Okay. Mark my words, when my brother kills himself, it's on you. Less than 2 months later, they came here on a Wednesday night. I was sleeping. My mother woke me up and said, Eileen, there's detectives here. Did something happen? I said, sit down, Ma. I looked right at the detective and I said, my brother killed himself, didn't he? He's like, yeah. I said, I knew that. I warned you. And within 2 days, you gave your guns back. I warned you to get him help. I begged you. This is not the first time I begged them to get him help. So, P.S., after a long investigation, I don't know what they were investigating, I get a call the other day from the head of IAB to say, yes, we're really sorry, we made many mistakes. This is not a mistake that you can erase with an eraser. This is somebody's life. My nephew and my niece will never be the same. My mother will never be the same, and nor will I. So, I went to One Police Plaza to talk to them about what they're doing, about this nonsense that they put a phone number up, and they claimed to me that it's working. I said, really? I don't think so, because they're not going to call. As I've said before, if you're a cop and you call and say, you know what, I need help, they stigmatize you. The next thing you know, you get no overtime. They're figuring out a way to push you out. They're figuring out a way to retire you. I know this for a fact because I have well over 100 emails, text messages, calls, letters from other officers who have asked me, please stand up for us. Please stand up for us. When I told that when I went to One Police Plaza, they told me, well, we can't corroborate your story. As I showed them the messages, because I scratched out everybody's name, they said, well, we can't corroborate that because you're not giving us names. I looked at him like he was insane. I'm going to give you their names now so that they can be fired and betray them that have begged me not to mention them. In 2012, a partner of my brother's, he was not a partner, he was just happened to be that they were on the same shift when I first had problems with my brother, when he was first going through some really rough times. He went to his delegate and said, I think this guy's, needs a little help. He's unraveling, he's, whatever.
I'm sorry, can you say that part one more time?
In 2012?
Yes, 2012.
In 2012, one of my brothers, he wasn't his partner, he just happened to be riding with him for 3 nights in a row. And he said to me, he called me and he said, I'm so sorry because I had said to the delegates, I think this guy needs some help. And he was told basically, if he doesn't self-surrender, you need to mind your business. This is another worker. Now they have this POPs group. Papas? Okay. That's like an umbrella. So once you go into that, it's supposed to be anonymous, it's supposed to be, and when it started, it was a great program. But it became political, like it almost became political, it doesn't work the way they're doing it. It's not working, obviously. In 2014, there were more suicides than there were this year. Read about it. I've done all my research. I have gone to officers in the street. I have interviewed them myself, promising, literally shutting my phone off and telling them, listen, I'm not recording you. I have nothing on me. I just want to ask you some questions. Because I was told about how top brass speaks to them. The vile things that they say to them. Oh, you want the day off? I don't remember your mother doing so-and-so to the chief. I had another guy tell me, oh yeah. It's a big dinosaur boys club. And it's vicious. Because if you need the day off because you're stressed out or you have to go to a christening or whatever it is, and because you didn't write enough, you didn't make your quota, no, sorry, we're going to need you. Really? If you tell them that you just can't do it that day, then what? Then you're put on desk duty, no overtime, no nothing? They're the biggest problem, is top brass. They're the biggest problem. I assure you that. I have hundreds, like I've said, of officers that have reached out to me, wives, who said, my husband comes home and he's not the same person. And then he asks for, not to do a detail. They tell him he has to. Only 8 cars had to be at that detail. When he showed up, there were 10. So why? And when I told this to, when I was at One Police Plaza and I spoke to, I believe, Connolly, he basically told me that that's not true. Why would they lie to me? They don't know me. Why would random officers who tell me, my so-and-so needed a day off, and they said, well, you didn't bring the chief gold Bacardi. Really? When you need a day off, do you have to bring your boss, gifts? Oh, they wouldn't make it up. I know this to be true. Hundreds. They can't corroborate it because I won't give the names. IAB gave me a big, I'm really sorry. That's not good enough. They need help. I don't necessarily agree with a peer advocate only because by nature, that's not the way officers are trained. And you go to your peer advocate, it's not private. These officers need to be able to know they have a safe haven almost. That they can go somewhere and be like, you know what, I'm struggling. And whatever it is that they're struggling with, my dream would be you know what? You're struggling with the job, you're struggling with your marriage, you're struggling with finances, you're struggling with your kids, whatever it is. Okay, we got somebody here and we're going to help you organize, we're going to help you figure this out. We're not going to take away your job, we're not going to take away anything. Back in 2012, when my brother first had a really bad issue, and they took his guns away, they begged me to get an order of protection against him because I was the one who went in. And I said, my brother's really not doing well. They raided the house, they took his guns. When they said to me, you need to get an order of protection, I said, why, so you can fire him? You want me to do your job? I said, no, my brother needs to get help. I'm not getting an order of protection. If something happens to me, then that's God's will. I don't truly believe my brother was going to come hurt me. I knew he was having some sort of a breakdown, and I knew it. And they kept insisting that I get an order of protection. And I kept insisting, no, I'm not doing your job. So you could fire him, and then what does he have to live for? He's got no job, can't support his family. That's how I got treated by them.
Why do you think these suicides are happening?
I think that in today's culture, there's so much pressure on them. There's a war on the police, an absolute law that Mayor de Blasio absolutely created, whether he wants to admit it or not. Obviously, the commissioner doesn't have their back. Top brass doesn't have their back. It's a political machine now, the NYPD. And that's what it is. And they don't care about their offices. They may tell you that. They don't care. I have emailed Commissioner O'Neill and several top brass. I had to email O'Neill 10, 15 times. Do you know that he hasn't even said, I'm sorry? Nothing. I get that you have however many, 20,000, 30,000. I get it. You can't take 2 seconds out of your day to say to my family, I'm sorry. We messed up. Not just for me, for all the other officers. That you put so much pressure on them that they have to get this quota in there, but then they're not allowed to touch them either. You know, like, you can't have it that way. There's an all-out war on police, and guess where it starts? It starts at one police plaza.
How can the NYPD fix the problem?
They need to retrain all of the captains, and they really do. They really need to retrain them to, I don't even know if you can, because they're like dinosaurs, some of them. Literally, the sexual innuendo. They're making Harvey Weinstein look like a Girl Scout. The things I hear, it's appalling. It's horrific. So that's number one. They need to retrain them that, you know what? If somebody's having like a mental health issue, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I take insulin every day. Do you blame me for that? No. So if you go through a depression, should I blame you? No. It happens. They need to understand that and not stigmatize them. Hey, listen, they shouldn't be out there with a gun if they're in a deep depression. I get that. You take the guns away. But get them the counseling that they need. Get them through the programs that they need, and then you can reevaluate. I've gone through depressions. I'm not myself. And then after a couple of weeks or whatever, I take some time to myself. I could do meditation. I'm very big with my church. I'll go to church and I'll be like, okay, God, you got this. And then I could go back to my double duties. I have 2 jobs. So I'm always working. So
what do you do?
I own a hair suite in Bayshore. And I have a side gig where I bartend, my side hustle, just on Monday nights. But, if I go through that, I'll stop. I'll take like a week off from my job. I'll be like, okay, I need to refresh. Everybody needs to recharge. You can't have them being spit out in the street, milk being thrown on them, water, God knows what else. They're cheering when police officers get shot now. They're cheering, and it's an all-out war on them. And what is brass doing about this? What are they doing? What do they do? They put a phone number up. They tell me it's working. Really? Did it work for my brother? No, it's not working, and you know it. They're putting a Band-Aid on open heart surgery, and it's not going to work. I'm trying to institute new programs. I'm trying to get I have a whole bunch of things that I think may work. I'm not a doctor. I'm a regular person. But when somebody's down and out, they need to embrace that and be able to say, you know what, I need a few days off. Somebody else will be happy to take my overtime. I just need a few days. I need to regroup. You know what? And you know what? I'll even talk to whoever you want me to talk to. The other problem is the psychologist that saw my brother for, 5 minutes, because 2 days later he got his guns. These are all students that come fresh out of school. They could have 50 cases and they have one supervisor watching them. They're not capable. I'm a hairdresser. When I first came out of school, the haircuts I did were horrific. I shouldn't have been allowed to do it. But then you learn. So we're getting all of these they just came out of school. It's not a textbook case. Police officers are different. Any first responder, it's a different kind of pressure. They have to make split decisions. So you have somebody who just got out of school. She's got 50 cases and one supervisor. There's all sorts of... Who's checking on all this? And to tell me that you're sorry you made a mistake, it's not bringing my brother back. I didn't expect it to. But for God's sakes, how many more before you change the system? How many more? I'm trying to launch some programs. You know, I can't imagine how at the end of the rope all of these officers felt that that was the only answer. I can't imagine how many of them really tried. It was just too much. It's too much. Oh, it's too much just going into one police plaza, the pressure they put. They say there's no quotas. 1,000% there's quotas. They can say there's none all day long. I've been told differently by many, many, many people.